Welcome to Dare, the show for startup leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs who dare to shape the future. Dare is brought to you by the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network, OEN, and Darwoft, the superpower tech team that can make your vision a reality. The Dare podcast is excited to welcome Tim Armstrong, founder and CEO of Pour Soul Systems. His work is really focused around what you pour at an on-prem, meaning a bar, a restaurant, any place that has beverages that pour. So he's tackling this $50 billion draft beverage industry with a new IoT platform. So welcome to the show, Tim.
Thanks, Ned.
So I understand that you're out there with a new device that does something different. So tell us about your device.
Yeah, so there's over 1 million tap handles out there pouring beer, wine, craft cocktails at all restaurants and bars across the country. And really, the way that most places take care of that inventory tracking is by just going down into the cooler and lifting up these 150-pound steel kegs and shaking them and guessing how much product is left.
Seriously, wait, that's how people do it today?
That's how the majority of people do it. Yeah, there are some systems that are in place for tracking them, like flow meters and scales, but
Yeah.
vast majority of places don't use those. They're pretty expensive and invasive. So really, it's the major chains are using those, but a lot of the bars and restaurants you go to, just the mom and pop operations, nobody's using those at all.
Yeah.
So at
So,
Porcel, we designed a
I was just going to ask what your design was and then how you came to it. So you were about to jump into the design part.
yeah. So we've designed a tap handle, which is ubiquitous in the industry for pouring this beer, but it's actually digital. It's an IoT device that connects to the internet and it gives us flow rates. So every time you pour a beer or glass of wine at the tap, it lets us know how much has been depleted from the keg and provides that information to the users at the bar. I was managing a bar down in Corvallis after I graduated from OSU and was honestly, this is a bit of a pivot. The original idea was to make a tap handle with a screen on it and then be able to just switch what was being displayed on the screen rather than have to make a new tap handle every time a new beer is made. Because last 10 or 15 years, especially in Oregon, the craft beer market was exploding. New products were coming out all the time. And as
Mm.
somebody running a bar, we would get these products in, but we wouldn't always get the tap handle, the branding for the particular product we had to serve. So about the 100th time I was sitting in the basement digging through boxes of old tap handles looking for one that would work, I realized that I could just make a device that displayed an image and pour beer with that. And so that was our original idea. And then after building a prototype of that, realizing that we could then get information about what we're pouring every time too, because we're already a connected device. We
Mhm.
pitched the idea around to a couple of big players in the industry, and to a T, they were all like, that screen's really cool, but that data about what you're pouring and when, that's very valuable, and nobody really has access to that yet.
Wow. So you found an unmet need in the market. You knew well, you're a subject matter expert there, right?
Yeah, that's actually been a really big advantage in this whole
Yeah.
adventure is knowing intimately what problems I'm facing and how to best deal with them. Designing this product to work for bar managers and not make their lives harder because if somebody had brought an idea like this to me and it made my life more difficult in any way, I would have just told them to hit the road. So we've kind of been designing it from the ground up that way since the get-go.
Right. So you're using some terminology though that comes out of the tech world, IoT and connected to the internet and all of that. How did you come by this knowledge?
Honestly, it's been a basically a crash MBA course since I started this
Mhm.
whole idea. My degree was not in business at all, and definitely at the beginning of the project, I had a lot to learn, and people would ask me questions, and I would kind of fumble through and have no good answers for them.
Yeah.
Been a great learning experience, doing pitch competitions and just meeting all sorts of different people in all various manners of industries and expertises that have been willing to share their knowledge with me and helpful and wanting to help us and see us progress. It's been a real adventure. I like it. Wouldn't trade it for the world,
Yeah, lots of learning, huh?
for sure. Very much so.
Well, what's the name of your product?
Well, we call the platform Poor Vision, Poor Soul
Okay.
Connect, and it is essentially the tap handles themselves, and then we provide also a tablet to the bars so that they can live monitor their draft levels, and it's an inventory management tool that we built, so we can help them minimize their losses, maximize their efficiency, and it's a beneficial tool for the bars and restaurants. But then the real goal with us, there's other options out there, like the flow meters and the scales. They are selling their products to the bars and restaurants to help them with their losses and their efficiency as well, but
Mhm.
not a lot of them, actually, hardly any of them at all are trying to aggregate that data and then sell it upstream, which is our real key selling point.
Tell me more about selling that data upstream. What does that mean?
So in Oregon and most other states in the country, we have a three-tiered system when it comes to selling beverages like this. You have the manufacturers who make the product. Then you have a line of distribution companies that take that product and sell it off to all the bars and restaurants. So all three tiers benefit from this data that we provide. So by getting them in the bars and restaurants, we can collect the data about what's being poured and when and make it useful for the bars and help them out. But then for like the distributors, right now, say you're a rep for a distribution company and you have 100 different accounts you need to visit every week. Those reps are doing the same thing. They're showing up, going down into the cooler, lifting those kegs and shaking them, trying to determine how much product is left, and then make a
Yeah.
sale. So by providing them, the distributors, with this data, we're making them much more efficient, right? If that rep already knows before he sets foot into the bar what their keg levels are at, what's depleted the quickest, what can be sold to them. Historically, what beer sells best in this area or at this particular bar. All that's data points that we can provide now. And then at the top of the chain, every major manufacturer out there, Anheuser, Sierra Nevada, all the big players, they pay lots and lots of money every year for market level data about how many bottles and cans they sell because that data is readily accessible every time you scan a six pack at the store. That data gets logged. Companies like Nielsen and IRI, they buy that data and they sell it back to them. And when
Mhm.
they buy that data, they get to see the whole market picture. They know what they've sold already, but they don't know what their competitors have sold until they buy that data. But when it comes to the draft beverage side of things, they don't have access to any information like that. They know what they've sold again, but they don't know how it got used at all, and they don't know what their competitors are doing. Oftentimes, they'll sell a product and it will just sit in the cooler for 6 months before it gets tapped, or you don't.
Fascinating.
Yeah, once you tap a keg, you don't know if that keg sold in 3 days or if it took 3 weeks to sell. Those are all data points that we can provide them. So we've essentially created this whole new data point for the industry that we think is very valuable. We know is very valuable based on the feedback gotten.
Yeah. So tell me more about that feedback. What's the acceptance rate been like so far? And are you actually in market or are you still testing?
Yeah, so we're late development stage now. I made a lot of good friendly contacts in my time managing those bars. So we've been in majority in Corvallis right now, in 5 different locations, and had really good reception. People are using it; and they love using it. It's been beneficial. I recently moved up to Portland to try and expand our reach and get into some, much bigger market. Corvallis was a wonderful place to build the team, get the company going. We attended the OSU Advantage Accelerator a number of years ago to help, really solidify the business idea and learn a bunch of things. And that's also where I learned a lot, is actually in the accelerator. It's a very useful tool in just, determining product market fit, using the lean startup model to figure out what you should be building and who will pay for it, rather than just, having an idea and deciding to build whatever you want because you think it's cool. No one else thinks it's cool and no one's willing to pay for it, then you shouldn't spend your time making it. It's also where I met a few of my business partners. So yeah, it was a shout out to OSU for that. It was a really wonderful experience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're in Portland now and you're expanding your reach in Portland, but not just through the startup community. You're also working really closely with bars and restaurants here that like your product, right?
Yep, we're in the midst of talking with a few of them right now. We are still solidifying. It's not, unfortunately, in the beer world, there are certain, the profits are always there, right? Beer is usually the most profitable product you can sell. Some locations, usually older school type places, they're not data nerds. They don't really care. They know they're making money, so it's not the best fit for them. It's kind of just another add-on. But there are
Yeah,
places
yeah.
that really care about product control and learning about what styles they pour the most, how they can be the most efficient. So those are the type of places that we're working with to try and really determine who we should be targeting the most.
Got it.
Places that they derive most of their profit from beer, like the big tap houses,
Mhm.
usually with, 30, 40, 50 taps sometimes. And a lot of those places have some tech in
Some
place.
way of measuring, I hope.
Well, so a lot of places you'll see have like the digital menus on the wall that will give a rudimentary keg level that shows when a keg's about to deplete or whatever. Those are based off point of sale systems. So every time
Mhm.
you bring in a sale, that's depleting a little bit off the menu so customers can tell where the keg levels are at. Unfortunately, in this world, what you're pouring and what you're actually selling are usually two different numbers by quite a
Mm.
hefty margin. So the accuracy is there for the customers being able to tell, oh, that beer is about to go. I should get some before it's gone. But in terms of inventory control, it's not quite where it needs to be able to provide that level of data upstream like we want to be.
Got it. So how big is your team right now?
Currently, there's 6 of us. Myself, we got a
Okay.
product manager who's also an instructor at OSU. Our hardware manufacturer and hardware designer is an engineer at HP as well. Got an
Mhm.
absolute genius developer, full stack developer. He's built the front end, the back end, the app. He's done it all. He's really just been the key to this whole thing working. Then my brother
Yeah.
is a graphic designer and marketing specialist in Boston. And my good friend Tom is an attorney. He's our general counsel, but he also used to be the COO of a pretty big microbrewery in Oregon, so he knows the industry very intimately as well.
Wow, it sounds like you've built a great team. You have a product, you have customers. What's next for you?
Right now, it's really funding. That's the
Mhm.
biggest key. As again, Sam is an amazing developer, but he really needs some support. So our biggest concern there is just getting another dev or two to help lighten the load for him, and then be able to build some more handles and expand our reach. We've got some backstock that we can deploy up here in Portland, but we need to build some more and take those next steps. To this date, our funding has all been internal. We've done a
Yeah.
couple rounds, friends and family, and then guys working on the project ourselves. But it's really about grabbing that outside capital and building the next stage now.
Right, and the outside capital will let you basically scale your product. It sounds
Yep.
like you have a product, you've already applied for patents on it, you have a unique value proposition, customers love you. You just need some funders to kind of give you that fuel in your rocket, huh?
Yes, sir. That's the next step.
Okay, well, hopefully this show can help get the word out to potential funders.
I would
That
love
would
that.
be great.
Anyone out there listening, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so say that, a year from now or even less, you have funding, you're out there with a product that's broadly accepted by bars, you have, a sales team out there talking to bars and restaurants, and it's going great guns. Then what's your goal at that point? You're really successful in Portland, then what?
Continued expansion. The data really is in that regional and statewide level.
Yeah.
Our goal is to get out there and put these in quickly and get the product is the data, right? Like we can walk from bar to bar and try to get these in every establishment, and that will
Mhm.
take a while, especially if you're trying to sell them on the product. Our plan is to offer a freemium subscription so that we can put the handles in for free, get people up and running. If they want to use the additional services, then they can pay us a premium for that, which we
Mhm.
hope will help us get saturation quickly. Portland markets first, then Seattle, whole Northwest, because the data is really valuable in large geographical areas.
Yeah.
Just keep expanding, building and expanding.
Yeah, so you'd go to like the big cities, especially beer cities like Seattle, Austin, Texas, San Francisco, places that really have a lot of foamy beverages, right?
For sure. There is Nielsen is really big in the data game, and they currently have this on-premise data that they're trying to provide. But their methodology for getting the data in is kind of it's very old school. They really are doing surveys at bars like every 2 weeks or once a month, just to
Wait,
find out.
surveys at bars instead of real-time data. I
Yeah,
see a mismatch. Somebody has a better solution.
right, 100%. And Nielsen's the kind of company that's used to putting hardware in places and pulling the data out. So
Right, right. So
this
if
is
you could join up with them or provide data into their systems, that would make you incredibly valuable, not just to the end customers, but also to the aggregators of data like Nielsen, who really want to provide a data-centric product line, right?
sure, yeah, that would be absolutely ideal.
Got it. Great. Well, this has been a really interesting look into your product line, and I'm really excited for you in building this product. Any war stories you want to tell us about the process of getting this product to built and to market? Because I'm sure you went through some ups and downs there.
Oh, it's definitely been quite the journey. I don't know. When you first start out, you have these goals, especially when you do a thing like the accelerator and they make you kind of map out your first, what are the next 5 years going to look like? And
Yeah.
6 or 7 years in, you look back and kind of laugh at what you thought or where you thought you'd be and when and why. And a lot of the things that you thought you wouldn't do for a few years, you had to do a couple months in, and a lot of things you thought you'd be getting done immediately still haven't done. So it's definitely been an adventure. It's been one of the coolest things in my life. I don't think I would change it for the world. It's definitely changed who I've become as a person. Having to get up on stage and do pitch competitions and being nervous as all heck before they start, and then I ended up winning them at the end. It's wild, and all the little situations that happen that are very you never know that's gonna how it's gonna end up, and it ends up that way. You never would have thought it would be like that. There's numerous times. I like to tell people this one story. When I was first starting out, I had no idea
Mhm.
how I was gonna get the money to pay this guy to build our first prototype. We needed $10,000 to come up within days, and I was at my wit's end. I was almost ready to just scrap the whole idea. And I went out, it was right after COVID, and bars had started opening up again, and I just went out to a spot to have a quick drink and ran into an old friend of mine, just happened to be in town from Seattle, and we started chatting, and he asked how the business was going, and literally just out of the blue, it was like, "Could you use $10,000 at 0% interest? How did you know that that is exactly what I needed?" Within days, and the next morning, he cut me a check and had it going, and there's been numerous times like that where you never know who you're gonna run into, who is willing to help you, who knows the right people. Like, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Things like that, just they provide the motivation to keep going. At this point, I don't even question it anymore. I'm just like, all right, let's whatever I have to do, I'll just keep at it because somehow magically it's just kept perpetuating itself.
Right. Serendipity is a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It really is. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I don't even question it anymore.
So, what do you dare to dream?
I would love to one day make this the standard, right? We're working currently we have the tap handles. They're
Mhm.
like a nondescript little black handle that, a lot of bars and tap houses are switching to the non-branded handles because dealing with the constant flow of new handles in every time you get a product is a giant pain. But
Mhm.
especially the biggest players in the beer industry, they're never going to not want their own handles on. They're always going to want one that says Heineken, always going to want one that says Bud Light. So building a new model now that actually is a little collar unit that fits in between the faucet and a branded tap handle so
Oh,
that we
great.
provides us coverage in any kind of bar, in any situation. Really, I'd see this as becoming the standard, or something like what we're doing now. It might evolve, but the beer industry is traditionally very old school. A lot of people have been making very good money doing things the way they've done it for 50, 60, 70 years, and they
Mhm.
haven't really had any motivation to change. It's very profitable, but the beer market's shrinking now. The bubble that we were in the last 10, 15, 20 years is bursting, and people are obviously drinking less nowadays, especially the younger generation. People are being
Yeah.
healthier, making better choices. Wine on draft is becoming a bigger thing. Draft cocktails, draft cider, those are all cutting into the market share. So anything we can do to help optimize profits and profitability and
Right.
smooth things for this industry, I think is going to be really beneficial in the coming years. So I think we're on the leading edge of that, especially with some of the AI tools that we've been able to develop and integrate. And that's part of the fun things about working with AI is that, especially now, that what you're doing is pretty much stuff that no one's ever been able to do before. So
Right, because it's brand new stuff. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. You're on the cutting edge of things. So it's pretty fun to be involved in things like that.
Great. Well, and for people who would like to know more about the product or the company or Tim, you can check out his product line at poursoulsystems.com. That's Poursoul, Pour Soul. It's a nice play on words there, Pour Soul Systems. And we wish you all the best, Tim.
Thank you very much, Ned. I really appreciate it.
Thanks to our guests today for their insights into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We wish you all the best in your startup journey. The Dare Show is brought to you by the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network and by Darwaf, the superpower tech team that can make your vision a reality. Visit us at oen.org or at darwaf.io. Thanks again for listening. Till next time.